Good morning. Welcome to Known Victory Church. We want to welcome you into the auditorium this morning. Grab your coffee and head on in. We're going to get into a few minutes of worship and just set our hearts in the right place to experience God, to receive from Him, and just worship and express our love for Him that way. So we encourage you to stand up and join in with us, and we're going to let the band take it over.
I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul. And your freedom is all that I know. The old made new, Jesus, when I met you, yeah, you called my name. And I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. Rescue. I needed rescue. My sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter. I was an orphan. Now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you called my name, oh, I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave. Out of the darkness into your glorious day. I'm caught up in your presence, and I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment, and I never wanna leave. No, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough, and take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. Caught up in your presence, I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment, never wanna leave. No, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything, but more than anything that you can do, I just want you. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, and nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I just want you, and nothing else, nothing else, nothing else will do. I'm caught up in your presence, and I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment, and I never wanna leave. No, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. If faith can move the mountains, let the mountains move. We've come with expectation, waiting here for you. Waiting here for you. You're the Lord of all creation. Still you know my heart. The author of salvation. You've loved us from the start. Waiting here for you with our hands lifted high in praise. And it's you we adore, singing hallelujah. You are everything you promised. Your faithfulness is true. We're desperate for your presence. It's all we need is you. Waiting here for you with our hands lifted high in praise. And it's you we adore, singing hallelujah. Sing hallelujah. Hallelujah, sing hallelujah, hallelujah, sing hallelujah, we're singing with our hands lifted high in praise. And it's you we adore, singing hallelujah. Waiting here for you with our hands lifted high in praise. And it's you we adore, singing hallelujah. Waiting here for you with our hands lifted high in praise. And it's you we adore, singing hallelujah.
I don't wanna be afraid every time I face the waves. I don't wanna be afraid. I don't wanna be afraid. I don't wanna fear the storm just because I hear it roar. I don't wanna fear the storm. I don't wanna fear the storm. Peace be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. I'm not gonna be afraid, 'cause these waves are only waves. I'm not gonna be afraid. I'm not gonna be afraid. I'm not gonna fear the storm. You are greater than its roar. I'm not gonna fear the storm. I'm not gonna fear it all. Peace be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace, peace over me. Peace, peace over me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Oh, let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Oh, let faith rise up, oh heart, believe. Let faith rise up in me. Peace be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Lord, peace be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace, peace over peace over me. Say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace, be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks.
God, today we come and we know we need more faith. We come before you today, we worship you. We say, God, build our faith. Build our faith in every situation. Build our faith to know that you are going to come through for us. Build our faith to know that you will show up even in our darkest hour. That even in our most painful moment, God, build our faith to know that you're still moving and you're still good. And God, I pray against all the chaos. And God, I pray peace over us today. That peace that calmed the storm, God, I pray calms the storm of our hearts. God, for that peace that passes all understanding to come and meet us here in this moment. Let faith rise up in us today. Let your faith rise up inside of us today. Let faith rise up. We need you, Jesus. We need more of you. And Jesus, we love you. We love you, we love you, we love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's give it up for Jesus again today. Man, we serve an incredible God, and we're going to dismiss our kids at this time. So kids, you can head out to your class. And if you're new, I'm Dustin. I'm the lead pastor here, and it's an honor that you're here again with us today. I say it every week, but it is for Beth and I an honor to be, the pastors of our church and be able to serve alongside you and to hopefully, share some of the things that God's speaking to me to you. And I pray that, as I share, every Sunday that God does speak to you something. Because my prayer every time I come up is, God, it can't be me, it has to be you. And so that's my prayer for us. But before we start, I got a couple of announcements for us. Number one is that this Friday, April 12th, is our worship night with our friends at Victory Life Church in St. Albert with our amazing worship team, Victory Worship from Thailand. And so I want to encourage you to come on out. It's going to be an awesome time worshiping together this Friday night with our friends in St. Albert, as well as our friends through, all the way across the globe. And then number two is that tonight is our family potluck at the Walter House, and this is an awesome time to connect. And I want to encourage you to come to it 4:00 this evening at the Walter residence, and Chris is right there. So if you need to know where to go, talk to him. But I want to encourage you to come out, bring some food. It's one of the highlights for me because we get to just get together and eat a meal and fellowship and grow in community together. So I want to encourage you, come on out tonight at 4:00. As you can tell, I'm already losing my voice. I feel like I've been losing my voice for like a month, and I feel like it just keeps getting worse and worse. So I'm going to be taking some sips of water today to stay hydrated. But, we've been working through a series together, as many of us know, called The Locked Door. And we're going through some of the things that, we're facing as humanity, some of our biggest struggles and some of the things that we just can't seem to let go of, things that maybe it almost feels like they've been following us wherever we go, and fear and unforgiveness and so many of these different things. And I do pray that one thing that we're talking about, speaks to you. But I think that each of us, maybe there's something in our life that keeps holding us back from the life that we're called to live, in this life of freedom, and a life filled with peace, and a life filled with just life and love. And I think some of us, we're struggling to get to that point because we've locked ourselves behind something. And my prayer for us is the hope that throughout this series, we can learn to unlock some of these doors. We can learn how to let ourselves out of the door and walk into the freedom, and have the faith to step out and unlock the door, as hard as it might be. Because I think some of the things we've been locked in for so long, that's where we feel comfortable. And so I want to encourage you, as we go through these, or if you missed them, go and check them out on our YouTube page. And I pray that something might speak to you. And today I want to share a message called Locked in Anger. And anger has always been a part of my story. I'm going to be a little vulnerable today, but anger's been a big part of my story ever since I was a child. There's always been moments where I've been angry, and my brother, can tell you to this day, there's times where, as young brothers do, we used to get in some fights. And I was the younger brother. I'm a middle child of 3, and my older brother, he'll share to this day that when we'd start to get into these scraps, he'd actually be like afraid of me, and he's 3 years older than me. So I was pretty tough, okay? Until he started, and I don't know if you're a younger brother, you might know this technique that older brothers use, is they pin you on the ground and they hold your arms down and they sit on your chest. You know that feeling? Every day, that was my life. But what would happen is I'd get so angry, and my brother, again, he'll tell you to this day, I'd start picking up furniture and chairs and be like, go to throw them at him. He'd be like, yo, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. He was scared of me because anger was such a big part of it. Now, I think part of my problem was I had a lot of energy and I didn't know where to put it. So oftentimes it went into furniture in the area of my brother. You know what I'm talking about? Like that's where it would go. And it's been a journey for me because even when I was younger, I'd be playing video games. I'd be playing like NHL and I'd have my remote and I would lose. And this one time I took my remote and I threw it on the ground. And I'm not joking. I wish I was joking. It bounced off the ground and hit the ceiling. That's how hard I threw this PlayStation remote, and it shattered into pieces. And I went upstairs and I went, Mom, like my PlayStation controller's broken. I need to get a new one. And she's like, I guess so. So we went and bought one. She didn't know how it broke. I didn't tell her that part of the story till years later because I guarantee you she wouldn't have been buying me a new PlayStation controller because they're not very cheap. But anger has been a part of my story, and it's something that I still walk through, from time to time. It's not an easy thing for us. And I think anger is one of the things that we lock ourselves in, that we keep the most private because it's one of the things that I think we're most embarrassed about. The moments as fathers or as mothers where we said the wrong thing or did the wrong thing and we look back, we're like, man, I wish I didn't do that. The moments I think we all have, even as parents or even as spouses, where the things we said to each other in fits of rage, or even things that we even really mean, or things that we even really feel. It's just when we're angry, the things come out that we wish would. And I think we're embarrassed sometimes by our anger, and so we keep it hidden. We don't want people to know the anger that sometimes we carry, or the anger that we've locked ourselves on. See, anger is something that many of us, we face head on. Almost a daily struggle or a daily battle when it comes to anger. And we see this maybe as we're going through traffic in the morning when we're already running late, or our order gets messed up at a restaurant, or all the small things that come up that tend to even just derail our entire day. Like I was filling up, Beth and I went for gas at Costco on Friday at 4:30. One of the worst decisions I've ever made in my entire life. I'm not joking. Like the line, we waited over an hour to get to the pump. Worst part about it is when we got to the pump, our gas light had already been on. And so I'm like, we're gonna run out of gas waiting to get gas. Like that was my biggest fear. I'm like, I'm gonna have to run in and buy a jerry can, And then I start filling up, and I'm telling you, the amount of just anger you could feel and the tension you could feel at the gas pumps was remarkable. Like when you feel the tension? People are in their cars, everyone's shaking their heads or angry, there's people honking. It's like, where do you want me to go? I'm stuck, same as you. I think anger is a part of our story. And I think for me, I've kind of navigated what makes me the most angry. And there's so many things, but there's 3 things that I think make me the most angry. Number 1 is when I don't get my own way. This might come in the context of our children when they don't do the things we wish they would do, and anger builds up. When our kids don't do what we wish they would, or our spouses or our coworkers don't do, and anger wells up inside of us. Another thing that makes me angry is when someone I love gets hurt. That's painful, especially when it's one of my kids and it's something that I did that caused them to be in pain. Most of the time it's an accident. Where I do something or I put my kid in a certain way and then they start screaming in pain. I'm like, yeah, that's my bad, The moments where someone I love gets hurt makes me angry. And I don't like seeing people get hurt. And when I was a kid, every Sunday night, my family and I used to watch something called America's Funniest Home Videos. I don't know if you know this show. And we'd watch it as a family. It's like what we did. And if you remember in that show, there's a lot of moments where people get hurt. And it's kind of funny. But my mom would almost cry when she'd see these people in these moments. So for us, we're laughing. My mom's crying, being like, no, but they're so hurt though. But look, that kid hit his dad in the knee. Ouch. That's my mom. I'm not joking. And we just don't like seeing people get hurt. And then another thing that makes me angry is when I see injustice, right? When I don't like to see people who get what they don't deserve, and I love to see people get what they do deserve. And it can make me angry when we see criminals go free, or it can make me sometimes angry when I see someone get looked over for a promotion, or I can see someone get looked over for the sports team, and I'm like, man, but what about them? And I see this injustice well up inside of me. There's so many things that make us angry. And these are some of the main ones for me. And what I want to do is I want to go through a story today about a man named Balaam. And I want to give us, before we dive into it, a story maybe you know, maybe you don't. It comes in the book of Numbers. But the story of Balaam comes in, again, in the book of Numbers, Old Testament. And we see the king of Moab. He calls for Balaam. He wants Balaam to put a curse on people who are coming over from Egypt in Numbers chapter 22. And so what the king does is he sends messengers to Balaam. And this is what the message is. He says this, look, a vast horde of people has arrived from Egypt. They cover the face of the earth and they are threatening me. Please come and curse these people for me because they are too powerful for me. Then perhaps I will be able to conquer them and drive them from the land. I know that blessings fall on any people you bless and curses fall on people you curse. So the king sends this message to Balaam. Hey, people are coming from Egypt, a horde of them. They cover the earth. It's threatening to me. I need you to come. Put a curse on these people because the things that you say seem to have power. I think this will help me win the war. It's a classic tale. Come put a curse on these people. So Balaam, he receives this message and he receives it. And that night, God comes to Balaam. And God says, hey, who are these men that came with this message? And Balaam tells him the story. They came to bring a message from the king who wants me to put a curse on these people come from Egypt. Again, like this is what's going on. And then God tells Balaam not to go. And this happens kind of a couple times. Don't go, don't go, don't go. And eventually he gets this go-ahead from God to go. Now, this part of the story, scholars believe that the wording used here when Balaam went off on his journey was that of a person doing something out of their own head rather than from directions from another person. And so if you read this story, it's kind of weird and unique because God's like, go, and then the next morning we're going to get into it. It's like God was angry. But the context would be that the way he went was in his own power or in his own head rather than following what God was showing him to do. But in Numbers 22, verse 21, this is where our story kind of starts. And so it says, so the next morning, Balaam got up, saddled his donkey, and started off with the Moabite officials. But God was angry that Balaam was going, so he sent the angel of the Lord to stand in the road to block his way. As Balaam and his two servants were riding along, Balaam's donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand. The donkey bolted off the road into a field. But Balaam beat it and turned it back onto the road. Then the angel of the Lord stood at the place where the road narrowed between two vineyard walls. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it tried to squeeze by and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall. So Balaam beat the donkey again. Then the angel of the Lord moved further down the road and stood in a place too narrow for the donkey to get by at all. This time when the donkey saw the angel, it lay down under Balaam. In a fit of rage, Balaam beat the animal again with his staff. This is the start of this story. So the first kind of thought I have when it comes to anger is that anger leads us to hurting what we love. You know, and maybe you're guilty of this as I am. When something doesn't work, when something isn't going our way, when your computer doesn't work, one of the first solutions is just to hit it and hope it works. For real. I remember having devices when I was a kid and you'd have to hit it a certain way and then it would work all of a sudden. Now imagine this moment, right? He's going down the road and all of a sudden his donkey is like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. What's in front of us is dangerous. I'm trying to protect you. Now imagine, nowadays we have self-driving vehicles. It's almost the same thing. Imagine you're driving down the road and all of a sudden your car just veers into the field. You'd be like, yo, car, stop. You'd probably be careful of the airbag, but you might kind of, hit your car. Be like, yo, stop, car. Now, most of us don't have self-driving vehicles yet, but imagine this. Or imagine you're driving in your car and all of a sudden your car starts braking on its own and then you're like, yo, we gotta go. I got an appointment. I got somewhere to go and it's not working. And so what's Balaam's response? His response is to beat his donkey, to hit his donkey. And I guess the question is, how many times has our anger led us to hurt people or hurt the things we love because of a fit of rage? I think for a lot of us, it's more than we wish. That the anger that's welled up inside of us, maybe even decade after decade, has caused us to do and say things to people we love a lot more than we wish it did. This anger that wells up, and we've gotten even comfortable in our anger sometimes. We get so comfortable in it. And I think one of the greatest things that Balaam could have done in this moment, because it's hard, like, what do you do when your donkey doesn't do what you want it to do? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you respond when something doesn't work? Like, what should he have done? That's a question I think about. Because I see myself probably being the same way, like, donkey, let's go. Like, let's get going. I think one of the greatest things that Balaam could have done in this moment is to take a moment to just step back. I think sometimes, anger, what it does to us is it causes us to make decisions extremely quickly and do things that we regret. And I think when anger comes, one of the best tools we can have is to take a step back, take a moment to breathe, take a moment to think, take a moment to listen, take a moment before we respond, before we react, take a moment to reflect and think. See, Proverbs 14 verse 29 says this: people with understanding control their anger. A hot temper shows great foolishness. People with understanding control their anger. And there's a lot of depth in this verse. But I think to me, it helps me understand that anger isn't wrong. Anger isn't necessarily a sin, but anger left uncontrolled leads us to make poor decisions. It shows us how foolish we actually are. I think Balaam, like many of us, couldn't control his anger. He was angry. Why? Because his trusty steed wasn't so trusty anymore. When I was a kid, we had a car and it was a Fun Justy. We used to call it the trusty Fun Justy. It was rusty and it was awesome. But his steed was no longer trusty. His donkey wasn't doing what he wanted him to do, so he couldn't control his anger, and it led him to do things he had never even done before. See, anger is a great motivator. So we can let anger motivate us. It can motivate us to do incredible things, but anger is horrible at leading our life. But I think some of us, we've let anger lead our lives. We've let anger lead our decisions. We've let anger decide what we do and who we talk to and how we treat people. That anger is what leads our life. But as followers of Jesus, God is supposed to be our leader. We're supposed to follow Jesus wherever he goes, not follow our emotions wherever we go. not follow our anger where our anger leads us. See, anger again is a motivator, but it's not a good leader. If we want to lead great lives, we got to let God be our leader, not our emotion and not our anger. He's supposed to be the leader of our lives, and he's supposed to be the one that guides us. Yet a lot of us, we've let anger control us, control what we say and what we do and who we talk to. See, I think sometimes when we're comfortable in a fit of rage, trying to control everything around us, than letting God be our leader and following him as he goes. We think that if when we're angry, we can control the situation. Balaam, his donkey's not doing what it's supposed to do. If I beat it enough, it's going to do what I need it to do. He's trying to control the situation, and that's what we like to do in our lives. We have to let anger lead us to investigate rather than point fingers and blame everyone and everything else about our problems. Take responsibility for it. And if we continue in the story, which is probably the most famous part of this story, it says, then God, the Lord, gave the donkey the ability to speak. And I love this question. What have I done to you that deserves your beating me 3 times? It asked Balaam. It's a hilarious question, to be honest. What have I done to you that deserves your beating me 3 times? Imagine you're disciplining your kid and that's what they say to you. Like, I don't know, what would you say? And then Balaam, he's not even shocked the donkey's speaking. He goes, you've made me look like a fool. He's like, yeah, dude, you're talking to a donkey. You know, like that's the part that's kind of odd, right? And he says, if I had a sword with me, I would kill you, right? Crazy. He's gone mad, Balaam, right? You made me look like a fool. And then the donkey, so humble. But I'm the same donkey you've ridden all your life. The donkey answered, have I ever done anything like this before? No, Balaam admitted. Like, the story is remarkable. No, Balaam admitted, right? It's such a remarkable story. And I think the next thought I have is this, is that anger clouds our minds. See, the donkey was seeing something that Balaam hadn't seen yet. See, the donkey had seen danger in front of him that Balaam hadn't seen yet. I think sometimes we get angry with God because we're like, God, I want to be in this position, or I want to have this title, or I want to be married, or I want to have kids. Like, I want to be here. And God's like, but you haven't seen it yet. Like I know you want it now, but it's you're not ready yet. Your character hasn't matched it yet. And we're trying to steer this donkey or steer our ship of life. And we're just being, God, why is there roadblock after roadblock? Why is this happening? We get so angry with God when we actually don't even see the picture in front of us. I think we want God to do something. We're like, God, why isn't it happening now? He's like, just be patient. Just wait. Anger clouds our minds. See, Balaam was going on a journey that he wasn't even fully supposed to go on. But he had made up his mind. He said, I'm going. He hadn't fully listened. He hadn't fully obeyed God in this whole story if you read through it. But he's like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Even if it means steamrolling everyone in front of me to get there, I'm going to make my way to the top. He couldn't see the pain he was causing. He couldn't see the problem or the situation in front of him. And he missed out, I think, part of it because he was so clouded by anger, he couldn't even see. And if ever you've had a moment where rage is taken over, that's how it sometimes feels. We almost feel like we can't see properly. We're in this fit of rage, and we sometimes look back at the demolition that we caused, and we don't even sometimes realize what exactly happened. Because we're so clouded, because we don't see properly. We don't see the fullness of the situation. He needed to open his eyes. He needed to see. He needed to investigate. He needed to think about it. Because we often don't see the full picture of what's actually happening. And we get so angry. And I've had moments like this with our daughter, Jane. She does something and I get angry. And I'm like, why are you doing this? But I never even try and understand why she's doing it. Like, why are you doing it this way? There's times I'll get angry with her because she's coloring. We're supposed to be eating. And she's like, Dad, I colored you this picture and I made it for you. And I'm like, I'm sorry. right? Why did I get so mad about 2 minutes? Now, of course, we have to have structure and all that, but what if we were to start asking questions rather than just getting so angry? And I realized this for me in my life. You know, Jane, she oftentimes struggles to go to bed, and she'll be up, come downstairs every 30 minutes. We're like, Jane, go back to bed, go back to bed. And I realized that most of the time she does that are the days that I've been gone all day, and she just wants to spend time with me. Now, she doesn't have the vocabulary really to tell me that, but that's all she wants. She just wants time with me, and I'm getting angry because she's not doing what I want her to do. I want you to do what I want you to do. When I don't even think about how she's doing and what she needs and what my wife needs. And anger can really blind us from the truth of what's actually going on. And then in verse 31, it says, then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the roadway with a drawn sword in hand. Imagine that sight. Balaam bowed his head and fell face down on the ground before him. Why did you beat your donkey those 3 times? You can't let it down, right? Why did you beat your donkey those 3 times? The angel of the Lord demanded. Look, he says, I have come to block your way because you are stubbornly resisting me. 3 times the donkey saw me and you shied it away. Otherwise, I certainly would have killed you by now and spared the donkey. Whew. This story is so funny, okay? It's so funny. And this is the part of the story I love to this day. This whole part of this donkey talking and Balaam's talking to it and the donkey saves his life. The donkey wasn't trying to protect himself. He's like, Balaam, this isn't good for you. There's an angel with a sword and you're gonna die. I'm gonna go into the bushes, right? Like it's safer for you. One thing I want to encourage you with today is that if God can speak through the mouth of a donkey, what can he do through you? What can he do through you? If we let anger go. See, the last thought I have is this, that anger wants its own way. I want to invite up Micah to come up and play some tunes. See, Balaam was going on his own accord. He's stubbornly resisting. God was trying to speak. He was missing it. His own intuition, his own ideas were getting in the way. He was supposed to wait. He didn't. He went in his own accord, his own way. Now, we don't have time to go through the wholeness of the story, but eventually he goes and he shares the message. Now remember, the message he was supposed to share was this of a curse. This of a curse, but the words that he says I find powerful. These are the words that he uses when he says, I'm gonna go, because the angel sends him. He says, I'm gonna go. But he says this, but I have no power to say whatever I want. I can only say what God is telling me to say. I can only speak what the Lord is speaking. And the message that Balaam gave to the people is a message of blessing, not a curse. He goes and he shares. The king wants me to give a curse, but here's the blessing. And then the king after this, he's like, Balaam, like that's the opposite of what I wanted you to do. These people are coming to kill me. Why are you blessing them when you're supposed to be cursing them? And Balaam says, I can only say what the Lord is saying. So then they go to the next place and the same thing. Balaam shares this word of blessing. And the king's like, yo, God gave the curse though. And then he goes again and the king says, hey, this time don't give a curse, but just do not give a blessing. And Balaam goes and says what the Lord is speaking and gives the blessing. I think it's a powerful story of a heart change that can happen when we realize our own failures and our own, what's in our own minds, and we realize that God is the one who's speaking. That when anger rises up, as it will, as human beings, anger will come. We gotta let it motivate us to love in good works. Let anger motivate us to love people, not hurt people. Because one thing about life, as anger wants to get its own way, how many of us know we often don't get our own way? I've tried and I've failed. to get my own way, to make something happen on my own, to go against even what God is telling me to say or what God is telling me to do. I've tried. And it always leaves me broken and miserable. I think when it comes to anger, the truth is we need help. We need help when it comes to anger. What do we do when anger rises up? What do we do when anger comes as it will? What do we do? I think it's tough to remember or tough to reflect and try and understand what should we do when it comes to anger? What's the solution? And this is in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 19. It says this, understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. And this part right here, human anger does not produce the righteousness God desires. It's quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. See, anger doesn't produce righteousness. It doesn't produce the righteousness that God desires. See, if we want to be more like Jesus, if we want to have more of his love and compassion, we got to put away our human anger. We need to be quick to listen. We need to be slow to speak and slow to get angry. And I know oftentimes in my life, it's quite the opposite of that. I'm quick to speak, right? I'm slow to listen, and I'm quick to getting angry. For me, I'm oftentimes very quick to point the fingers and tell people how wrong they are, or how angry they've made me, rather than understanding someone's story. Rather than understanding what someone has gone through and asking the questions and getting to know somebody. See, our human anger tries to lead us. And I think we've sometimes locked ourselves behind this door of anger. Because maybe we've learned over time that anger gets things done, right? Anger motivates people. Like anger will get people to do what you want, but it's not going to keep them around very long. Anger can motivate people for a short amount of time. And then we have like a lot of these excuses or a lot of these thoughts like, I'm angry because that's just how I was raised. That's how my dad was. That's how my mom was. It's from my past. It's just, I can't do anything about it. Sorry. I'm just an angry person. There's nothing that I can do. I want to encourage you, there is. We need to unlock the door of anger. And I think anger doesn't have to be a part of our future. It may be a part of our past where anger's controlled us, where anger's been our leader, but it doesn't have to be a part of our future. And I think the best way to combat anger is discipline, which kind of sucks. Discipline is hard. It's hard when you want something done and your kids aren't doing it. It's taking a long time. It's hard. Discipline to ask the questions rather than even just lay down the law all the time. Now again, we got to lay down the law sometimes. I think we got to start having conversations with our kids and ask them questions and get to know them, or with our spouses, and learn to be disciplined, the self-discipline to be patient, the self-discipline to be humble, the self-discipline to ask questions before we speak. Be quick to listen and slow to speak. See, questions are a great way to learn how to listen. Rather than share all our ideas, or tell people how wrong they are and how right we are. We can ask people questions, and this is what Jesus mastered. It was the art of asking questions. People would come to him with these big theological questions, and he would often respond with a story or with questions. And we got to learn how to unlock the door. And I want to encourage you that self-discipline is one of the best ways we can do this, to learn how to control our emotions and control our anger and control our minds. And that we can pray for God to open up our eyes. I'm angry. God, why? What can this motivate me to do? Not let anger lead how we respond to the things around us. You know, our takeaway today is this: the key to unlock the door of anger is discipline. Discipline, again, to not always have to be right, to not always try and get our own way. What our kids need or what our spouses need, what our spouses want is important as well, not just us. We got to let go of pride, be self-disciplined, to be humble, put others' interests above our own. Self-discipline to listen. And I want to encourage you that if anger's been a part of your story, as it has for me, something that I work through and I walk through, I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you that it doesn't have to be a part of your future. Freedom is possible. It's possible to find freedom. It's possible. It's not going to be necessarily easy, but it is possible. And I also want to encourage you that any mistakes we've made over the years when it comes to anger, God loves you and he forgives you. He forgives you and he loves you so deeply, and he wants what's best for you. It doesn't have to define our future. So God, I thank you that you help us unlock this door when it comes to anger. God, you help us see clearly. Help us see what's in front of us. Help us know what's in front of us. Help us see it. And help us not let anger be our leader. God, I pray that you'll be our leader. That we'll put you first. That you're the one who guides us. You're the one who leads us. You're the one who takes us where we need to go. And God, I thank you that you forgive each and every one of us for things anger has caused us to do in the past. And God, I thank you that we will not carry anger into our future in a way that will control us. But God, I thank you that you are our leader. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. I'm going to invite Beth up. She's going to close the service today.
Thanks so much for coming out this morning. It was nice to, just be able to sit in church this morning. And I don't know about you, but sometimes these messages hit a little too close to home, and that's probably the point. That's probably just the Lord kind of picking at you, and that's okay, because I like when he does that, because it means that I'm able to grow and not gonna sit there in my own problems. But if you don't know who I am, my name is Beth. I'm one of the pastors here at Known Victory Church, and I have some steps for you this morning before we close. So first and foremost, if you are brand new here for the first or second time, we'd love to get a gift into your hands as our way of saying thank you so much for coming. You matter to us. That's gonna come up on the screen. You can text 587-807-0944, and we'll get that into your hands at some point this week. We'll reach out and touch base and just welcome you that way. We would love for you to engage with our community. Second is we would love for you. Whoa, gotta slow down here. To engage with our community through giving. This looks like a lot of different things. I don't think that there's one single box that we can put giving into. It can look like a multitude of different things and a multitude of different ways. And that's between you and the Lord. That's between you and God and what he is asking you to give. That might be time. That might be money. That might be the gifts that he's put in you, the way that you serve. We believe that giving is a sacrifice, right? It's not something that comes easily all the time. We believe that when we give, we're supposed to dig deep and really give out of maybe what's uncomfortable. And so I I want you to take a second this morning and just kind of ask God what He would like that gift to look like this morning. There's the story in the Bible of the rich guy who comes to the temple and he drops a bunch of money in, and he's kind of into the offering box, and he's kind of, telling everybody how much he gave and how amazing he is. And he's so, this is what I'm going to do because I'm rich and I can do it. And then, a poor widow comes in and she drops in just a tiny little bit. But because that tiny little bit stretched her so far, that gift was such a big sacrifice. And so oftentimes it's actually not about the amount or anything like that. It's actually about how much of a sacrifice it is for you. And God asks us to give pure sacrifices, the best of what we have. And so that might look like serving for you. That might look like taking time to actually say, this is a stretch for me to step into this role here, or, maybe this is a little more than I've given before and it's uncomfortable because I don't know where it's going to come from. But, the Lord meets you in every single one of those scenarios. Maybe if you're serving and you feel a little bit overwhelmed, He comes to you and He gives you grace, and He gives you some patience and the things that you need to serve well. And if it's financial, He has always, anytime that we have given more than what makes sense financially, He has always worked a miracle in our lives personally, Pastor Dustin and myself, and always met our needs some other way, whether it was just randomly somebody saying, hey, I have this for you. And we're like, what do you mean? Where is this coming from? And just random things can happen. And so I want to encourage you. God tells us to test Him. He says, give and see what I'll do with it. Give but it starts with you. It starts with you taking the first step and saying, I'm going to give, and I'm going to see how God is going to meet me in this. He doesn't necessarily pour it onto you and then say, okay, now give. He says, give and then see what I'm going to do. And so I would encourage you, take a moment, search your heart, talk with God, and just see what He has for you this morning, what He's asking for you to give. The best ways to give financially to Known Victory Church and the things that we are doing in our city and in our province are to head to knownchurch.ca/give, or you can e-transfer hello@knownchurch.ca. And if those aren't great for you, you can always meet us back in the coffee bar, and we can take you through some other steps that might work better. Number 3 is to get involved. We love our church, we love our family, we love serving our family, and that might look like showing up and serving in new ways for you. That might look like serving in kids ministry or serving in the coffee bar, or honestly, anything at this point. This does not happen by accident. Church on Sunday morning doesn't just fall into place. It takes a lot of work from the family members that we have that love to serve Jesus and love to serve people. And love people through serving them. So if you would like to get involved in any way, if God is just saying this morning to you, hey, I think it's time to step into some new things, come chat with me. There's no end of things that we can do with you so that you can start serving with us. Number 4 is just to invite. So obviously Pastor Dustin spoke earlier and said that Potluck Sunday is this afternoon. This is an amazing space to be able to invite people out where, this is just eating a meal together, and oftentimes that kind of breaks the ice a bit. If there's a purpose in what you're doing, we're going to go and we're going to eat a meal. It's a little bit easier to invite. So I would really encourage you, take advantage of that. Take advantage of the different community events that we do through the month and invite. But also, don't be too scared to invite to church on Sunday morning either. It's really awesome to be able to have new people step into our family and be able to get to know them. And that's something that we feel so privileged to be able to do, that we can meet new people on a Sunday morning and welcome them into our family. So Last but not least, if you need prayer for anything, Pastor Dustin and myself would love to meet with you in that. So you can head up to the front. And for the rest of you, you guys are dismissed. Make sure you grab a coffee on your way out. Stick around, chat for a bit, and we'll see you next Sunday at the same time in the same place.